Lesson 5. Fair Play. This is the translation of the famous Hindi story Panch Parmeshwar, written by Munshi Premchand. In this story, the writer has tried to prove that when someone is elected a panch to give judgment, he speaks with the voice of God and gives a just judgment, even if it is against his best friend. Jumman Sheikh and Aglu Chaudhary were two friends. Besides stealing their fields in common, they carried on a joint money-lending business. So strong indeed was their mutual faith in each other that when either of them was absent, the other looked after his household chores. This happened when Jumman went on the Hajj and Aglu had to go out on business. What was the secret of this mutual trust and confidence? Social or religious affinity? No, but a common outlook and a community of ideas. And what better foundation could there be for a lasting friendship? Jumman was learned because his father knew how to bring up a lad. Don't spare the rod or you'll spoil him is what he used to say. He practiced this precept in the case of his son Jumman. So, there was none in the village to equal Jumman in learning. But Aglu's father had different views. He believed that your teacher's blessing would transform you into a fine scholar, and there could be no surer way to his good grace than to keep his hookah fresh and feed his chilum regularly. Poor Aglu was never found wanting in this service, and in the end he failed to acquire much learning. It was not his fault, but that of stars, so argued his old father. Yet in the village Jumman was loved for his learning. Aglu was respected for his wealth. Jumman had a maternal aunt who had much property but no issue. She transferred her property to Jumman by a deed on the understanding that she would be looked after well. All went well till the document was not signed. But when the document had been signed, Jumman and his wife, Kariman, both changed. Kariman began to tease the old woman beyond limit. Patience has its limits. One day, unable to bear this constant nagging and insult from Kariman, the aunt spoke to Jumman, but Jumman flatly refused to interfere in household affair. He told her in effect that his wife knew best how to run the house. After some days, she said to Jumman, "Give me some money so that I may arrange for my kitchen and lodging separately." Then Jumman answered that rupees do not hang from the tree. At this, the old woman challenged to take her case to the panchayat. But Jumman laughed because he knew that judgment of the panchayat would be in his favor. After this, the old woman, taking her stick in her hand, went from door to door. She explained her case to everybody and tried to gain their sympathy. In the end, she went to Aglu. In the beginning, Aglu was not ready to go to panchayat, but later on, when the old woman requested him again and again, he agreed. But he said he would not speak because Jumman was his fast friend. So the panchayat was held on the scheduled day in the evening under the village tree. When all the panches had taken their seats, the aged aunt rose and addressed them. "You know, members of the panchayat, 3 years ago I transferred all my property to Jumman with the promise that I shall be looked after well. But I am now fed up with constant abuses, insults and nagging from his wife. Now it is not possible for me to live with him. I have been denied food and clothes. I am a poor and helpless widow. I appeal to you for justice. Please punish me if I am in the wrong, but if you find fault with Jumman, please correct him. I will faithfully carry out your orders." The matter of nomination of Sarpanch was left on the aunt, so was not ready to do this. Yet she nominated Aglu as Sarpanch. When Aglu was not ready, the aunt said, "Son, it doesn't matter. I knew that you will not kill your conscience for the sake of friendship. Allah lives in the heart of a Sarpanch, and his voice is the voice of God." So Aglu became the Sarpanch of the Panchayat. Addressing Jumman, Aglu said,
"Sheikh Jumman, you and I are old friends. Whenever any one of us was in trouble, the other came to his help. Now I am a Panch. You and your aunt are equal in my eyes. If you have anything to say in your defense, please say it."
Jumman said,
"I have been following the dead honestly.
"I have obeyed my aunt as I would have obeying my mother."
But the fact is that there have been occasional quarrels between her and my wife. Women are always like that. My aunt now claims a monthly maintenance allowance from me. That is beyond me, as her property does not yield much. Besides, there is no mention of it in the deed."
Aglu Chaudhary knew law well. He made Jumman silent in his cross-examination. Each question that he thundered out fell like the blow of a hammer. At this, Jumman was wondering,
What devil is there in this friend of mine? Only a moment ago, he was talking to me so cordially. Now he seems to be bent upon digging my grave. God knows, that ancient grudge. He is feeding fat today.
While Jumman was still lost in those thoughts, Aglu pronounced the verdict.
"Jumman Sheikh, the members of Panchayat have gone in the matter most carefully. It is their considered opinion that you are liable to pay to your aunt a fixed monthly allowance out of the realization from the property. If you do not comply with this decision, the deeds transferring her property to you will be deemed void."
Hearing this verdict, Jumman was wonderstruck. The foundation of his friendship moved. Jumman began to remain busy in finding out a proper chance to take revenge. Soon Jumman got the long-cherished chance. Aglu had purchased a very fine pair of bullocks from the Bateshwar fair. But as ill luck would have it, one of the bullocks died. Aglu had no use of one bullock, so he sold it to Samjhu Sahu, a cart driver. He purchased the bullock on the understanding that he would pay the price in a month's time, but due to overwork and for want of proper rest, the bullock died. Samjhu could not pay the price of the bullock, but it was not a small sum and Aglu could not afford to forget it. So again the Panchayat was called to settle the case. This time Jumman was elected Sarpanch. The moment he became Sarpanch, he forgot personal grudge and maintained the gravity of his office. Hearing both parties, Jumman gave his judgment.
"Samjhu Sahu and Alagu Chaudhary, the Panchs have discussed your case well. It would be proper that Samjhu Sahu should give full cost of the bullock to Alagu. When Samjhu purchased the bullock, it had no disease. If the cost had been paid at the time of purchasing the bullock, this Panchayat would not have been called today. Moreover, the bullock had no disease when it was purchased. The bullock died because much work was taken from it and there was no proper arrangement to feed it."
Hearing the judgment, Aglu could no longer control his feelings. He stood up and shouted over and over again,
"Victory to the Panchayat!"
The crowd looked up the cry and soon the whole village echoed with "Victory to the Panchayat!" Jumman at once came to Aglu and said,
"Since the last Panchayat, I had been your sworn enemy. Today, I realized what it was to be a Panch. He has no private feelings of his own, and he does not make a distinction between friend and foe. All that matters to him is administer justice. I am convinced now that the Panch speaks with the voice of God."
Hearing this, Aglu broke down and wept on Jumman's shoulders. The tears which he shed that day washed away all the dirt and dust of misunderstanding between the two old friends. the withered and faded